Okay, my clock shows 2 p.m. If you all agree, I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting of the Washoe County Parcel Map Review Committee for Thursday, February 10th, 2022. Call to order at this time. Madam Secretary, can we have a determination of quorum, please?
Yes. Larry Chesney.
Present.
Wes Rubio.
Present.
Wayne Handrock.
Present.
Roger Pelham.
Present.
Dale Wade.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Let us go on to the ethics law announcement. Ms. Gustafson, please.
Certainly. Committee members are reminded that if with respect to any matter or any person coming before the committee today, number one, you've received a gift or loan. Number two, you have a pecuniary interest. Number three, you have a commitment in a private capacity, such as a family, employment, business, or similar relationship. Or number four, you've provided representation or counseling before an agency to a person or entity for compensation within the last year on a matter that's being considered here today. Then please remember to disclose that gift, loan, interest, commitment, or prior representation at the time the matter is being considered. And furthermore, please abstain from deliberation or voting on the matter if it's clear that the gift, loan, interest, commitment, or prior representation would materially affect the independence of judgment of a reasonable person. Committee members are also reminded that under the Planning Commission rules, if you've had any contact outside this meeting with any persons interested in a matter coming before the committee today, please disclose the nature of that contact at this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now on to the appeal procedure. Most decisions rendered by the Parcel Map Review Committee are appealable to the Board of County Commissioners. If you disagree with the decision of the Parcel Map Review Committee and you want to appeal its action, you may do so in writing within 10 calendar days from the date that the decision being appealed is reduced to writing, filed with the Secretary of the Parcel Map Review Committee, and mailed to the original applicant in the proceeding being appealed in accordance with Washoe County Code. Please call planning staff immediately at 328-3600 for information on the appeal procedure and application fee. And I'm actually going to amend that and say call 328-6100. That is actually a better phone number. We are now to item number 4, public comment. Madam Secretary, do we have anyone wishing to address the Parcel Map Review Committee at this time?
I do not have any hands raised via Zoom.
Thank you very much. And since this is a remote meeting only, that's the only way. That brings us to approval of today's agenda. Item number 5, has everyone had an opportunity to review the agenda? Would anyone care to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda. This is Wes Rubio.
Do I hear a second?
Chesney, a second.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, please say aye. Thank you. The agenda is approved. On to item number 6, approval of the minutes from the January 20th meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes? Mm-hmm. Does anyone have any edits that they would like to have made in those minutes? I would entertain a motion for the committee to accept those minutes.
This is Wes Rubio. I'll move to approve the minutes.
Do I hear a second?
Wayne Handrock, second.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? All right, those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, please say aye. Thank you. That brings us to item number 7, our project review items. We are going to begin with item 7A, tentative parcel map case number WTPM 19-0019. And I believe we have Mr. Bronzik representing planning.
Good afternoon,
Give me just 1 second, please. Good afternoon, Chris Bronzik, Washoe County Planning. We are looking at WTPM 19-0019. This is the Durkee parcel. The proposal is to divide one 10.1 acre parcel into two parcels of approximately 4.41 acres and 5.69 acres. It's located off of Woodchuck Circle, and it is located in the Southwest Truckee Meadows planning area. The master plan designation for this parcel is split with suburban residential and rural. And as such, the zoning designations on this parcel are also split of general rural and low density suburban. The applicant's proposal will maintain the minimum lot size and minimum requirements for the LDS regulatory zone. The LDS on parcel 1 is 1.5 acres, and on parcel 2, the LDS is 0.87 acres or 37,897 square feet. The minimum lot size is 35,000 square feet. The maximum lot potential for this is 2. The proposal is 2 lots. The minimum lot width is 120 feet, and the minimum lot width shown on this parcel map is 313 feet. So there's 2 things to note regarding this. The first is this is a heavily constrained parcel. Much of the southern side, as looking at this map, the bottom side, is 30% or greater slopes. There's a significant number of 15% slopes as well. As part of this submittal, the applicant did provide staff with an exhibit that provided the buildable area as well as proposed driveways for both parcels. Additionally, because this lot is split zoned, it was staff's understanding that because the GR represented the steep slopes and the topography, that the GR could be split, which is why staff is currently recommending approval with conditions. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, do we, Mr. Rubio, if I can have one moment, please. Is the applicant or their representative here, and would they care to address the commission?
I do have Ken Murphy. Ken Murphy, if you could please unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Ken Murphy with Murphy Built Engineering. We've worked with planning with Chris on this parcel. The only thing is in the report, it recommended or said that we were going to use wells, but this property can be serviced by Tomwa, so we don't need any wells on it. Other than that, I think Chris's report or planning's report discusses everything.
Okay. Thank you. Now, the members of the committee, I'm just going to kind of go around the screen, and I will start with Mr. Chesney. Do you have any questions for staff or applicant?
Who's providing water and sewer for this?
Yeah, I believe that would be to the applicant.
Yeah.
So Tomwa will provide water. There's Tomwa service already to parcel 1, and parcel 2, is the water main is right there in Woodchuck, and sewer is provided by the city of Reno, which is also right there in Woodchuck.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Rubio, anything from health?
I believe that answered my question. So thank you, Mr. Chesney. Mr. Murphy, I do have a quick question. I noticed that there is a sewer easement for access that crosses, I don't recall which parcel it was, but to ensure that both parcels had access to sewer. Is that correct? Or am I reading the map incorrectly?
No, that's correct. So right now, parcel 1 has a residential house going on it. And part of that construction, a sewer main was stubbed to a manhole located on the property. And then that manhole has 2 laterals, each going to their respective parcels.
Thank you very much. I'm all good.
Thank you. Mr. Way, anything from fire? Dale, you need to unmute, sorry.
No comments.
Thank you very much. Mr. Handrock, anything from the county surveyor's perspective?
Nothing for me.
Very good. I believe that Chris has addressed the concerns that I have with the zoning. And I just want to be clear. So this is a question to planning. There is on each one of the resultant parcels, at least the minimum lot size for the LDS regulatory zone of LDS zoning. That is to say low density suburban. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
It is the 1.47 acres and then 0.87 acres, which is that 37,000 square feet instead of, which is above that 35,000 square foot minimum.
35,000 square foot being the minimum for LDS, meaning minimum lot size. Okay. That being said, I am going to close the public hearing. I am going to bring this back to the committee for any further discussion. Hearing none, would anyone care to make a motion?
This is Wes Rubio.
Roger. Sorry, Roger, can you ask for public comment, please, first?
Public comment.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gustafson, for keeping me on the straight and narrow. Madam Secretary, I am going to reopen the public hearing, and I would like to ask for any public comment that we may have.
There is no public comment.
Thank you very much. I will then reclose the public hearing, bring it back to the board yet again, and see if there's a motion that someone would care to make.
This is Wes Rubio with Health. I move that after giving reasoned consideration to the information contained within the staff report and the information received during the public meeting, that the Washoe County Parcel Map Review Committee approve parcel map case number WTPM 19-0019 Durkee for Murphy Family Trust, subject to the conditions of approval included as Exhibit A with the staff report, and make the determination that the following criteria is or will be adequately provided for pursuant to Washoe County Code Section 110.606.30E, 1I through 12.
Okay, and do I hear a second to that motion?
Justin was second.
Any further discussion? I'll call for the question. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much. We are now moving to item 7B. This is tentative parcel map case number WTPM 21-0015. And do we have Courtney Wyke for planning?
Okay, good afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and try and share my screen so we can see what map we are looking at. Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me. Good afternoon. Courtney Wyke, Senior Planner, Washoe County Planning Division. The item before you for consideration is an application for a parcel map, case number WTPM 21-0015, located at 3380 Mario Road. This is a request to divide an 18.24 acre parcel into 3 parcels. As indicated on the site plan and the staff report, parcel 1 would be 13.62 acres, parcel 2 would be 2 acres, and parcel 3 would be 2.62 acres. The red dashed line there represents the ending result of the 3 parcels. The project is located in the eastern portion of Washoe County, south of Interstate 80 and the Truckee River in the Bird Eye planning area. The master plan land use designations for the parcel are split with both rural and rural residential. The regulatory zoning is general rural and high density residential, matching the parent master plan land use designation boundaries. The proposed map meets all minimum requirements for the 2 parcels proposed within the HDR, high density residential regulatory zone, specifically lot width of 150 feet and lot size, which is 2 acres. The remaining parcel, indicated as parcel 1 on the map, has a general rural regulatory zone and is considered non-conforming in size due to the minimum size for general rural being 40 acres. However, the proposed parcel map does not increase the nonconformity, and the portion of the general rural zoning is the same as currently exists today. As proposed, the parcel map meets all minimum requirements for the 2 additional parcels in the HDR regulatory zone. The existing parcel is developed with a single-family residence, which will remain located on the resultant parcel 1. The existing residence and all structures meet the required setbacks. Future development will be required to meet the minimum design standards for each of the regulatory zones. Staff is recommending approval with conditions, and with that, I am available for any questions, and we'll go ahead and stop sharing.
Okay. Is there an applicant or an applicant's representative that would care to address the committee?
This item, I have Jay Brook and Sean Marlowe. If you could please unmute yourselves, whichever would like to speak first.
Okay, Sean Marlowe.
Mr. Marlowe, please proceed.
I don't know what just happened. I was sitting in to listen to item C.
Oh, okay. Not this one. Very good. The applicant or the representative for parcel map 21-0015 3380 Mario. Would anyone care to address the committee?
I believe Jeff Brook is available.
Yeah, I'm here. I just, you had said with condition, that's all the only question I would have.
If I may, Mr. Pelham.
I'm not sure I quite understood the question. You're asking what are the conditions of approval?
She said with conditions, that's the only question.
So Mr. Brook, that's with the conditions of approval that you received as part of the staff report and the approval. So those are just the standard conditions that we spoke about. Nothing in addition to those.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, I'm actually gonna go ahead and start off with questions, and I'm afraid I'm gonna have to address one to Ms. Gustafson. Well, first, let me ask a question of Ms. Wyke. When you say HDR, you do mean high density rural zoning, is that correct? Not high density residential, it's rural, right?
Correct.
Okay. And Ms. Gustafson, I am looking at the staff report on the case description, and I'm seeing that it does have high density residential and general rural, RULE, as opposed to general rural, RURAL. Does that mistake cause a problem with us going forward at this time?
The general rule is not going to cause any issues. Yes, the regulatory zone, it appears, was listed wrong as high density residential rather than high density rural. I don't think that that's going to hold up this parcel map application today. I recognize that it is listed incorrectly on here. I don't know that that's like necessarily a material enough mistake in the case description that it would cause us to not move forward today.
Thank you. I appreciate that opinion. Great. With that, let us move forward. Mr. Chesney, anything from the perspective of the Planning Commission?
Nothing for me, Roger.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rubio, anything from Health?
I actually have one point of clarification only since the applicant was on and asked a question about conditions. Did the applicant receive the comments that were identified from Health by Mr. Dave Kelly as part of those conditions that they'll have to meet in order for the signing to proceed?
Mr. Brooks, Brooke, would you care to respond to that?
I don't know if I got specifically from Health. But
It should be in the entire packet from the staff report, because as I'm scrolling through, you should have received the comment that you are going to be required to perform test trenches. And so I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that those are considered required, even though they are not listed under the immediate conditions in order for Health to sign a map.
Understood.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Rubio. Mr. Way, anything from Fire?
Nothing.
Thank you very much. Mr. Handrock, anything from Surveying?
Nothing from Survey.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, I would like to call for any public comment that there may be.
There is no public comment.
Thank you very much. I'm going to close the public hearing. I am going to bring this back to the board for any additional discussion. Anything that anybody would care to talk about on this one? Seeing none, would anyone care to make a motion?
Chesney will make a motion.
Thank you. Please proceed.
I move that after giving recent consideration to the information contained within the staff report and the information received during the public meeting, that the Washoe County Parcel Map Review Committee approve parcel map case number WTM 21-0015 for Randall and Teresa Bell, subject to the conditions of approval included as Exhibit A with the staff report, and make the determination that the following criteria is or will be adequately provided for pursuant to Washoe County Code Section 110-606.30(e).
Wonderful. Do I hear a second?
Wes Rubio, I'll second.
Thank you very much. I will call for the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. And any opposed, please say aye. Very good. Motion passes. Thank you very much. We will now proceed on to item 7C. One moment here. Whoops. One moment. I lost my screen. Here we go. Okay, I'm not going to try that again because it keeps going blank. I'm sorry. This is going to be parcel map case number WTPM 21-0023, Marlowe and Singh. And I believe we have Miss Olander for planning.
Yes, Joey is currently working on signing on at the moment.
Great.
Yeah, so
then why don't we all just take a deep breath and wait? And I'm going to try to get the staff report back up on my other screen because it keeps making everything go dark, and that's a bad thing.
Awesome. I will let you know when she is on. Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you.
Okay, I believe Ms. Olander is now online with her hand raised. I'm going to go ahead and promote you to a panelist, Julie. Okay, Julie, if you would please unmute yourself.
Yes, good afternoon. Sorry about the delay here.
Thank you very much. So we are opening the public hearing for WTPM 21-0023. Ms. Olander for planning. Please proceed.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I just need to get myself organized here a little bit. I was trying to get logged on and it caused too much problem. And so now I'm having to move things around. Let's try this.
You know what? Take your time, take a deep breath. We've all been there.
I know the challenges of doing things online. Good afternoon, Julie Olander with Washoe County Planning and Building. This is a parcel map, WTPM 21-0023 for Marlowe and Singh. And I just want to make a comment. I did not include Mr. Singh's name as one of the property owners. He is the other property owner. He signed an affidavit, so he is also one of the part of this application. All right. And this is a parcel map. This is a merge and subsequential division of 3 parcels into 2 parcels. One that will be 43,969 square feet, and another that will be 54,144 square feet. These properties are zoned low density suburban and have a master plan designation of a suburban residential. And they will meet, with the parcel map application, they will meet the minimum lot size of 1 acre. I want to explain that per the application, there is existing 3 parcels shown here, even though if you look at it, it only shows 2. Houses are located on 2 of the parcels. And then the third area that's being requested as part of this application, according to the assessor's office, they state the current deed, which described this parcel, this one that's in between, it's sort of like a driveway. It's parcel number 030-18116, was assigned to the legal parcel in 1994. However, the deed was no longer, the deed of combination was not completed, and the 2 legal parcels have not reverted or been combined. So basically what's happened here is this middle area, and would it be helpful if I shared a screen, or you all have the staff report? Can you see it? Okay.
Please share your screen. Thank you.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Oh my gosh. So maybe I'll make this a little bit smaller. Mouse work. My mouse is not cooperating. I apologize. Here we go. Oops. Maybe we'll go to this picture. It's a little bit better. Oops, now I'm too small. There we go. So you can see the 1 parcel to the north, and then there's this portion in the middle that was never, the deed of combination was not completed. And this is the part of the parcel that is going to be divided. And I'll go back to the other map to show how that went the wrong way. So this is showing, and I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see that better. Oops. So this is where the new parcel line is going to be. If you see this line here, that's what's going to be removed. And then this is the adjusted property line. And as I said, this is a little unusual because of the deed. And I think I've covered everything. I am available for questions, and I believe Mr. Marlowe was online. I heard him speak earlier, and I'll stop sharing my screen if there aren't any questions.
And for the record, Mr. Marlowe, if you would like to speak, if you would please just unmute yourself.
Did I unshare my screen?
Not quite yet, Julie.
Okay, let me go there again.
Does anybody have any questions about it? This is Sean Marlowe.
So, Mr. Marlowe, you have nothing particular to add, but you're available for any questions that the committee might have?
I just wanted to add, it's the actual access to our property. It's our driveway that goes to our garage, our heating oil, and our septic. So it's. I guess we could answer any questions if you guys had questions, but Mr. Sine and myself are in agreement on everything that is on that map.
Okay. At that, Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment on this item?
There is no public comment.
Great. Then let's go around committee members. Mr. Chesney, anything from the Planning Commission?
I have no questions. It's pretty clear cut.
Mr. Rubio, anything from Health?
Just to clarify, Mr. Marlowe, did you receive the comments from Mr. Dave Kelly with the Health District requiring the location of the septic system to the north on that property?
No.
Okay, so that should have been in the packet. Those items will be required because you'll still have to maintain and ensure that you meet all the required septic setbacks to whatever new parcel line is going to be there.
Yeah, our septic is actually on the south side of our property, so it's 200 and something feet south of where this is actually taking place.
It's actually a requirement for Mr. Singh's property.
Okay. Oh, okay, for Mr. Sting's. Okay, so him and I can go down and record that or whatever, as long as it's within the setback.
Yeah, so I would reach out to Mr. Kelly for the specifics on what will be required. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that that requirement exists prior to trying to come in and have your map signed.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Kelly. Okay.
Just to clarify, Mr. Rubio, that's part of the conditions of approval. Mr. Kelly's comments were included, and those will be sent out to the applicant once, I don't know if he did. I think the staff report probably went to Robinson Engineering.
No worries. I just wanted to make sure.
I appreciate that.
Where when we signed it.
No.
Yep, and I was actually going to say the same thing. It is condition 3A in the proposed conditions of approval. Continuing on, Mr. Way, anything from Health?
Fire.
From fire.
Oh, good Lord. My apologies. Fire.
Hello, Roger.
Yeah, so somebody wake me up. I apologize. Mr. Handrock, anything from surveying?
Nothing from survey.
Very good. Then we are going to close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for any further discussion. Hearing none, would anyone care to make a motion?
This is Wes Rubio. I'll make a motion. I move that after giving reasons consideration to the information contained within the staff report and the information received during the public meeting, that the Washoe County Parcel Map Review Committee approve parcel map case number WTPM 21-0023 for Sean Marlowe, subject to the conditions of approval included as Exhibit A with the staff report, and make the determination that the following criteria is or will be adequately provided for pursuant to Washoe County Code Section 110.606.30E, and that's 1I through 12.
Thank you very much. Do I hear a second?
Chesney will second.
Thank you, Mr. Chesney. Any further discussion? Then I will call for the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed, please say aye. Motion carries. We are now moving right along to item 7D, tentative parcel map, case number WTPM 21-0024, the U family. And I believe we have Katie Stark for planning. Is Ms. Stark logged on?
She is, yes, she should be on shortly. Katie, you've been promoted to a panelist. If you'd like to share your screen, please.
Yes, and sorry, it looks like I'm under there as pre-development still. So you can disregard that. This is Katie Stark, Washoe County Planning.
Okay, please proceed.
I was just pulling that up. Can you see the image of the parcel map?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So Katie Stark, Washoe County Planning. The case before you is tentative parcel map, case number WTPM 21-0024 for the U family. The request is for the division of a 6.64 acre parcel into two parcels. One would be 3.83 acres and one would be 2.81 acres. The parcel is located between Old US 395 and Interstate 580. The regulatory zone for the parcel is high density rural, or HDR. The maximum lot potential for the parcel is 2 lots, and the request is for 2 lots. The minimum lot size requirement is 2 acres, and the minimum lot size on the parcel map is 2.81 acres. The minimum lot width required is 150 feet, and the minimum lot width on the parcel map is 325 feet. The parcel is located in the Washoe Valley Hydrographic Basin, and on the South Valley's area plan development suitability map, it's listed as most suitable for development and also has areas of potential wetlands. So all minimum requirements for the HDR regulatory zone would be met with this potential parcel map. And I want to touch on the potential wetlands. In the South Valley's area plan, there is a policy. I'm going to read it off. It's SV.27.3, and it requires that development proposals that impact any area designated as potential wetlands on the development suitability map must conduct a wetlands delineation study and obtain Army Corps of Engineers certification of the proposed wetlands. So we have included conditions of approval for both of those in Exhibit A. So both the wetlands delineation study and then the certification from the Army Corps of Engineers would be required before a final map could be recorded. So with the provided conditions, staff believes that that the findings can be met and that the policies of the South Valley's area plan will be fulfilled, and recommends approval. And I'm available for questions.
Thank you very much. If you will stop sharing your screen. Madam Secretary, is the applicant or applicant's representative logged on? Would they care to address the commission? Or committee, rather?
Yes, I do have Henry View. Henry, if you could please unmute yourself if you would like to join.
Hello, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
We just attended.
Yeah, we're just attending. This is something new to us, so we're just listening in.
Okay, so nothing particular you'd like to say to the committee?
I don't know. We're the first time developers, so we don't know too much about this.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll make this a smooth process. Do we have any public comment, Madam Secretary? You're muted.
My apologies. I have no public comment.
Very good. So let's go around to the members of the committee for any questions for staff or applicant. Mr. Chesney.
None for me, sir.
Mr. Rubio.
None for me, sir.
Thank you much. Mr. Way.
No comments.
Mr. Handrock.
None for me, sir.
And likewise, I have none on behalf of planning. So I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. I'm going to bring this back to the committee for any further discussion. Any discussion on this one?
No.
I would entertain a motion.
This is Wes Rubio. I'll move that after giving reasoned consideration to the information contained within the staff report and the information received during the public meeting, that the Washoe County Parcel Map Review Committee approve parcel map case number WTPM 210024 for the U Family Trust, subject to the conditions of approval included as Exhibit A with the staff report, and make the determination that the following criteria is or will be adequately provided for pursuant to Washoe County Code Section 110.606.30E, and that is 1AI through 12.
Wonderful. And do I hear a second?
Elway, second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And any opposed, please say aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. That now brings us on to item number 8 on our agenda, approval of the proposed bylaws. Ms. Gustafson, I believe I will turn the floor over to you for a moment.
Hi, Roger. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, it kicked me off for some reason just now. So, okay, it's my turn. Yes.
Yes, sorry, that was me.
Yes, we are on item number 8. If you would care to address the committee in regards to our bylaws.
Of course. Sorry, Adriana kicked me off. I would like to try to share my screen. The last time I did this, it was a disaster. So I might end up having to call on Adriana if I can't get this working. All right, what are you looking at now?
We are looking at the proposed bylaws, or rules, policies, and procedures, rather.
Awesome. All right, so well, we only have a half an hour to go through these, and hopefully it won't take that long because I have to leave here at 3:15. So I'd like to just kind of go through the bylaws, accept any feedback. If we want to make a motion to approve these with any changes that the board has today, that's great. Otherwise, we can bring this back at the next meeting. I just want to make sure everyone can hear me okay. Great.
Yes.
All right. So as I've been mentioning to the board for several meetings, it's good for every board that's a permanent board to have their own bylaws. And that way we can kind of tailor the procedures for that particular board to the board. And so I've just basically gone through and done a very basic draft of the bylaws, and I'm certainly not married to any of this language. So if anyone has any changes they'd like, please let me know. So just starting off, sorry? Okay, so just starting off, anyone feel free to interrupt me at any time. Purpose and authority, I just have a basic paragraph here that talks about Parcel Map Review Committee as a subcommittee of the Planning Commission. The purpose is to review and either approve, conditionally approve, or deny tentative parcel map applications in the unincorporated areas of the county. Have the citations to your legal authority there. And then I've stated that the map board is comprised of 5 members having specialized knowledge of land use and planning requirements for tentative parcel maps. Does anyone have any changes, amendments that they would like to Article 1? Nope. I don't know if I can really see everyone.
I'm hearing none, so
Okay.
Looks good. Let's go on to number 2.
I have none at this point.
Great. All right, so Article 2, this is just the committee membership. The one change that I did make is, you can see it's highlighted there. Number 4, I've included the Washoe County Health District. That is the actual name of the current Washoe County Health District. I think before it said like District Health Department, something like that. And then in B, where I'm talking about appointment of committee members here, the added language was or district. Recognizing that the other 4 Parcel Map Review Committee members are appointed by and serve at the pleasure of the directors of their division. So that would be the planning division, department, or district, because obviously the health district and the fire protection district are districts. So, Mr. Way and Mr. Rubio mentioned that to me, so I wanted to include that. Same thing for the appointment of alternates. The same type of appointment procedures for alternates appointed by the division, department, or district director. Next thing about the term, all committee members shall be appointed for 2 years. That is in code. We could decide if we wanted these positions to be term limited. I've included in the bylaws, there is no limit on the number of consecutive terms served. I don't know if anyone has any opinions about that, but I don't see there to be a need to have term limits for this type of a board. So if everyone's okay with that, then I'll just leave it.
Well, that's a good question. Does anybody have anything on that? Anybody?
Roger, you're the longest serving one. You might be the one that would have the most to say.
That's funny. I did this for about 10 years and then I was gone for a few and now I'm back. So, actually my term this time is really quite short. No, I don't see a reason to limit.
This is Chesney. I from the planning commission side of this thing, we have a heck of a hard time getting people to volunteer for these things. But I think 2 years is fine. And then as long as there's no term limit, if the chair decides to reappoint the same person for another 2 years, I mean, it would just be wonderful if I only had to serve for 2 years, but they couldn't find another sucker. So here we are.
Okay. I think we're good. Discuss and let's keep going.
Mentions the chair of the committee shall be the member from the planning and building division, and that is actually in code. So just wanted to reiterate it here in the bylaws. Most bylaws do have resignation and removal procedures. So for resignation, I've written, if a committee member chooses to resign prior to the end of their term of service, they have to provide a written notification to the secretary. That's just so that we have actual written documentation of these things. I know this board has been a little loosey-goosey for my tastes in the past as far as keeping actual records of people's terms and resignations and things like that. So that was one of my goals in trying to get that a little more buttoned down. Depending on the committee member who resigns, the appointment is by either the chair of the planning commission or the respective director of that member's division. And this should say department or district. So I do need to add that language. Shall then appoint another individual who meets the qualifications of the vacant position. For removal, I basically just wrote any parcel map review committee member can be removed or replaced by the authority who appointed them for any reason at all. So it doesn't have to be a fault reason. If both the Parcel Map Review Committee member and their alternate is absent from a regularly scheduled meeting 3 consecutive times, then the secretary shall notify the authority who appointed that member and may request that the authority appoint a different person to serve on the committee. So that is, of course, that language is up to you all. That's pretty standard though. If someone misses 3 meetings in a row, then we say, well, maybe that's not working out, and we can contact the appointing authority and say, hey, please appoint another member. Obviously, this board has alternates, so I thought it would be appropriate to say, well, if the regular meeting member and their alternate misses 3 times in a row, then we would look for another person by essentially contacting the appointing authority. So is everyone okay with that language?
Mm-hmm. It seems good to me, sort of, 3 strikes and you're out. Makes sense.
Okay. So Article 3, general duties and responsibilities. I didn't include all of the duties and responsibilities of the board, but these are the ones that I personally felt important that we would want to put in bylaws and have in writing and publish. Duty to stay informed, of course, the members of the committee shall keep themselves informed on planning laws, policies, procedures, trends, and planning, as well as ethics laws of Nevada. Members of the committee shall strive to represent best interests of unincorporated county, prompt and diligent in attendance. And then the communication outside of public meetings, this is actually something I borrowed from the Planning Commission bylaws, except for general business matters like scheduling meetings, things like that. Committee members should avoid ex parte communications, and those ex parte communications are private discussions outside a public meeting with interested parties regarding the public hearing matters coming before the committee. And so that's just kind of a general rule of thumb that you don't want to have discussions with interested parties outside of the meeting. If you do have these discussions, then there are conflict rules where you'd have to disclose the content of your conversations and things like that. And then I added the part about site visits. The committee recognizes site visits may be helpful to gain a better understanding. So it just basically essentially authorizes committee members to conduct site visits in accordance with state law, and you're authorized to do so. Does anyone have any issues, any additions to that language?
Looks good to me. Anybody else? Okay. Moving right along.
So ethical considerations for committee members, obviously I'm legal, so I like to have this in writing for you all to review. The committee is governed by Nevada's ethics laws, including NRS Chapter 281A. And so committee members shall not solicit, offer, or accept any offer for a business relationship or arrangement with any applicant coming before the committee or such applicant's representative. So for most of you, you are employed elsewhere, but if you were hating your job and wanting to go out and find other employment, it's essentially saying, these are the considerations that you have when you're on this board. Any pre-existing, ongoing, or expected business relationship with an applicant or their representative has to be disclosed and may be grounds for you to abstain from hearing particular items under NRS Chapter 281A. So it's basically saying if you're looking for a job with someone who's coming before the committee, that's going to be a conflict of interest and you would need to abstain from hearing those types of items. And then I added in here, the committee can also reference the American Planning Association's ethical principles in planning as guiding principles for the conduct of committee members. That's also already in the Planning Commission bylaws. So I added that to these bylaws as well. This to me, number C, is the most important consideration for you all. This is about pre-hearing bias. So public hearings are adjudicative in nature. Committee members have to keep an open mind regarding each matter to be heard until all evidence has been presented on that matter. Committee members must be careful not to form or communicate any preferences or thoughts that may be perceived as pre-hearing bias. Accordingly, staff members appointed to serve on this committee shall not be the same staff members that review and provide comments on applications heard by the Parcel Map Review Committee. And then in recognition that obviously I don't know how your departments and your divisions are comprised. If someone's sick and you're actually providing comments and providing input on matters that would then come before you as a member of this board, that's when you would have conflict issues. And so I wrote, in the event a committee member has worked on an application being heard, then the committee member should contact legal counsel prior to the meeting to discuss their ethical obligations. Yes, Wes.
Just a quick question, because that actually addresses one of our concerns here with how we are basically have limited staff for these type of reviews. So would we reach out directly to you or to just ask the question in the event that one of us is absent? Because there's basically just two of us who do this work.
Yeah. So yes. So I would want you to reach out to me, and
Perfect.
we can talk about your so if your coworker is sick, the person who normally handles the parcel map reviews, and you are having to, out of necessity, involve yourself in comments and input on a parcel map, then yeah, that's going to be a problem because of pre-hearing bias. So depending on your involvement, you would want to reach out to me, and then we could discuss your specific involvement and what you would need to disclose. And then depending on the actual involvement, we would make a determination of whether you would need to abstain. And when I say we would make a determination, what I actually mean is I would give you advice, and then you would make the determination as to whether you would abstain or not. But I would be there to help answer your questions.
No problem. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. So does anyone have any issues with any of that language? Nope. Okay. So moving right along to quorum and voting, this is just standard stuff. A quorum is a simple majority of the total membership for purposes of this board. Quorums can be different for different boards, so we usually have our bylaws addressing that. Voting is an affirmative vote by a majority of members present at the meeting. For all parcel map applications, there's no supermajority, anything like that. A tie vote means the motion does not pass. And then the chair may call for a roll call vote on any item, and all votes are recorded, and the meeting minutes shall indicate the members voting for, against, or abstaining from a matter. Any changes to Article 5? Okay. Not hearing anybody. All right, so Article 6, the officers of the committee. So this is a decision that you should make. Obviously, we have the chair. So the chair provides at all meetings, maintains order, calls special meetings as needed. The chair is a voting member of the committee. Then I added in here vice chair. I don't think we currently have a vice chair for this board, correct?
That is correct.
We can if you want, or we don't have to. It's up to you. It's pretty typical for boards to have a vice chair. So this is the general language. If you want to have a vice chair serves in the absence of the chair. And then I put in rather than the alternate member from the planning and building division. So the idea is if Roger's absent and his alternate, and I don't even know, Roger, who your alternate is. If they show up, if Eric shows up to the meeting, the idea is, well, Eric hasn't been to these meetings, so is it really fair to make him run the meeting all of a sudden? And so that's the idea, is that the vice chair, who's normally at these meetings, would be running the meeting in the event of Roger's absence. And then I have the vice chair shall be elected by the committee at the first meeting of each calendar year, serves for a year or until their successor is elected. And then in the absence of both the chair and the vice chair, a temporary acting chair will be designated by the committee to conduct the meeting. So it's up to you guys. Do we want a vice chair? Do we not want a vice chair? I have no preference either way.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Anyone else? Larry, do you have any thoughts?
I'm with Roger. Yeah, that's a good idea, because in some cases the chair can't make it. So we need somebody to fill in. It would have to be somebody from planning, but yeah, that's good.
Okay. Wes, everyone?
I agree. I think it's actually a good idea, especially it's hard to step into that role if you haven't been on a consistent basis like at these meetings. So I think it's a good thing for the committee to have some consistency.
I concur.
Okay. Dale, are we all right?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, then I will leave the wording as is for that. Okay.
The only thing I'd add there, Jen, is just curious why the 1 year rather than the 2 year to coincide with just the other terms of members.
Yeah, we could do a 2 year. There's 1 year is just kind of standard for most boards, but I have no issues with 2 year if that's the board's preference.
I tend to agree. If we're appointed for 2 years at a pop, let's put vice chair for 2 years at a pop. I think it's a good idea.
Especially since it's the planning representative anyways, so you would kind of by default have your 2 years.
Okay. Yeah, I will certainly make that change then. Got my notes. All right, and then moving right along, succession, there's no line of succession claimed by this committee. That's just a standard provision in bylaws, which is to say that the vice chair does not become the chair, and we can't have that by code anyway, so it's just a typical provision for bylaws. And then these are also typical provisions, the authority to sign. The chair may sign such documents to implement action by the committee as required by NRS or the development code. The chair should confer with legal counsel as to the propriety of signing specified documents. And then also the secretary may sign such documents as may require certification on behalf of the committee. So for example, like if someone were to ask for subpoena records or ask or do a public records request for Parcel Map Review Committee records, then the secretary would be like the person, the designated record keeper, and could sign that these are true and correct copies of records, things of that nature. So that's what that's intended to handle. Transmittals of committee action to the Board of County Commissioners, the Board of Adjustment, the county clerk, or other parties interested in a particular parcel map action will generally be the responsibility of the secretary. Anyone have any issues with that? Nope. Okay. And then the delegation of authority is also a kind of a standard provision. Committee can designate one or more members to act on behalf of the committee in the conduct of hearings or the performance of the duties. That would come into play too if both the chair and the vice chair don't show up and you need to designate an acting member to host the meeting and things of that nature. And then the committee may also delegate to such members or the secretary when appropriate and to the extent permitted by law. Okay, so this talks about the staff to assist the board. We've obviously got the secretary here, and these are the secretary duties. Adriana, do you have any comments about your duties as written in here?
No, I do not.
Okay. And then legal counsel, I obviously am your legal counsel, and that describes what I do. Does anyone from the board have any additions or corrections to the staff provisions? Nope. Okay. All right, so then we get into meetings. So the general meetings or general provisions related to meetings. Parcel Map is a public body and thus must comply with the open meeting law requirements set forth in these statutes. Notice of the meeting, a copy of the notice of the meeting and the agenda shall be posted at the appropriate locations at least 3 business days prior to the meeting to allow the public full awareness of the scheduled meeting. That's basically open meeting law requirement anyway, but it's a common thing to put in your bylaws. The agenda, I'm not sure if we're actually doing this on the board or not, but this is typical. So each agenda shall be approved by the chair. That's generally how this is supposed to work, and reviewed by legal counsel prior to posting. Public hearing items are placed on the agenda by the planning division staff based on the particular application's submittal date. That's my understanding of how that works. And then here, all other persons wishing to place an item on the agenda shall contact the chair for authorization to include the requested agenda item. I don't know how often that happens with this board, but with other boards, people want to put things on the agenda, like members of the public want to put things on the agenda. And so basically this is saying, hey, if that happens, it's up to the chair. The chair can decide whether or not things should properly be on the agenda. And of course, if there's any questions about that, can of course contact legal. Is there any changes to that agenda wording there?
No, that's okay. I have not been looking at the agendas prior. Have I been getting those, Adriana?
You should be.
Yes.
No, prior.
Before, I know he said, oh, you know what? The ones that I just started doing before, I believe I sent to you, but I don't know if before that Lacey would send them to just you or not. But I'll go ahead and I'll have to check with her.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, going forward.
Sure. Going forward, we can do that. Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, I would certainly recommend that, Adriana, that because I know Trevor reviews them, Trevor Lloyd. I review them, and Roger should also be CC'd when you send out the agenda. Roger should also be CC'd as well on that.
Okay,
on that email.
Got it. Will do.
Okay. Just moving along, supporting materials. This is kind of standard. Each public hearing item on the agenda should be accompanied by written information and materials. We do that. Supporting documentation shall be provided to the recording secretary at least 1 week prior to the meeting date. I'm not sure what our internal deadlines are for that, but that's a standard provision, is that you want to try to get the supporting materials in a week beforehand, because the agenda has to be posted at least 3 working days beforehand. And so the idea is that the supporting materials and the agenda should all get posted at the same time. Obviously, I didn't send you these bylaws until yesterday, so it's not an open meeting law requirement, but it's just a good general rule of thumb that we try to get all of our supporting materials in a week ahead of time so that they can be sent out to you when you get the agenda. Is that okay with everyone? Okay. This provision here, this is from the Planning Commission bylaws. I don't know if we want to include this or not. It's about Robert's Rules of Order, which is it's really not used too much anymore. It's basically your parliamentary procedure. When a question or controversy arises, you can refer to Robert's Rules of Order, or alternatively, the chair can employ other procedures to provide for deliberation and an opportunity for the public, applicant, and all committee members to be heard. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that.
I do actually. It has been many years since I have read Robert's Rules of Order. I read them in college, or I think there was an abbreviated version. Do we not have an abbreviated version of that, kind of a simplified version? Because we're not going to get, I mean, that thing is,
yeah,
boy, it's exhaustive.
It's made for big organizations and yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it was actually written for like the British Parliament originally. Yeah. So isn't there, I seem to recall that there was some sort of a simplified version of formal parliamentary, I suppose, for lack of a better term, procedure. I thought there was.
I know there is a shortened version of Robert's Rules. I don't think an updated copy of it, frankly. I think I have a copy that Nate gave me that's like 30 years old. So that's why I wanted to include it here, because this is a standard provision in all bylaws. But honestly, if we're having an issue about parliamentary procedure, whether we would refer to Robert's Rules of Order, I do have a copy of it, but it seems like it may be a little outdated for what the purposes of what this board and what we need. I'm fine just removing this section if you're all right with that.
I think that would be a good idea.
I think I would like to have some reference to, and again, I don't know how to simplify this, something to the effect of, we will follow sort of the standard formal procedure that the Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners use, which of course is all based on that.
It is all based on.
I don't know how to say that. Yeah.
Accepted meeting requirements per Washoe County BCC and associated committees or something like that.
Okay.
Is that what you're getting at, Roger? Like basically the accepted meeting rules and
yeah,
that the Washoe County, that large utilizes.
Something of that nature, and I think I'll leave it up to up to you to kind of wordsmith that a little bit. I'd like to have something, but I don't think Robert's rules is the way to go because, quite frankly, no one understands it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculously complex. So
maybe I'll just say, I mean, we could leave in Robert's Rules of Order may be used as guidance to inform about meeting procedures, or we could just take that out and say, in the event a question or controversy arises related to meeting procedures, the accepted meeting procedures of the Washoe County Commission will be employed, something along those lines.
I love that language.
Perfect.
Let me just write this down before I forget it. In the event a question or controversy arises regarding meeting procedures, committee will utilize the accepted meeting procedures of the Washoe County Commission. Okay.
Oops. Yes, that sounds great to me.
All right. And then the last sentence there, I'll just change to say, if a conflict occurs between these bylaws and the accepted meeting procedures, or it's basically the BCC rules. I think there's an actual document that's called like Board of County Commissioner Rules, Policies, Procedures. Then I'll just continue to say these bylaws prevail.
Okay.
Okay, and then the last, so I think we're all right with that language then?
Yes, I am. Anybody else?
I'm fine.
I'm good.
Great. Good. Okay. And then the record part, of course, the Parcel Map Review Committee keeps a record of its business. All right, I'm going to try to.
One note there, it would be Planning and Building Division.
Okay. Planning and Building Division. Got it. All right, and then moving right along, regular meetings, the committee shall set regular meeting days and times monthly, which is what we do. And then all regular meetings shall begin at the time set by the committee, shall be scheduled for no more than 2 hours. And then, so this is standard language. At the end of the 2 hours, a simple majority of the committee can vote to extend the meeting or conclude the meeting and reschedule the remaining items for a subsequent meeting. I don't know if we want to include that or not. Obviously, with parcel map items, there's timelines that come into play here. And so rescheduling things past the timelines isn't really practical. These meetings really, I've never seen one to go that long. So.
Well, let me weigh in on that. I have, but it's exceptionally rare. I would just say, can we have something that'll be scheduled within regular business hours? Because if we get, say, 8 or 10 on one, which is exceptionally rare but possible, okay, fine. Instead of starting this thing at 2 o'clock, we started at noon and we make sure we're done before 5. I would just say within regular business hours.
Okay.
If nobody else has concerns with that.
The proposal then would be to amend the language to all regular meetings shall begin at the time set by the committee and shall be scheduled for regular business hours, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I think I would just cross off that second sentence there and not include that at all about reschedule, about, extending the meeting. Okay. Is that all right with everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to Roger's point, the other thing that happens on occasion is if there's something really controversial and there's a lot of public comment.
Mm-hmm.
Also true. Rare, but true.
Yeah. And then C here is about special meetings. Special meetings may be held at the chair's request or by written request of 2 committee members. So this is basically a catch-all that if, for example, we had a crazy meeting and we were running out of time, then the chair may say, all right, we need to have a meeting next week, Or if the press of business is so much that we would need to schedule 2 parcel map meetings in a month instead of just 1 for some reason, this just allows for that possibility to have a special meeting in the event there would be business that would require an additional meeting.
Okay. I haven't seen that happen, but it's good to have it as an option just in case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, and cancellation of meetings. The chair can choose to cancel a meeting if there are no substantive business items. Cancel continued items. And that's a standard procedure as far as I understand. The committee can vote to grant a continuance on an agendized item at the request of a committee member, the applicant, or the applicant's representative. Obviously, if a committee member is requesting an extension, we would need to get sign off from the applicant or the applicant's representative. And then public comment would not be heard for that item until the date of the continued hearing. All right, and then the next F there is that's just the order of business. That lists how our agendas unfold, and it lists the different things that we have on our agendas. And talks about public comment there. And then the final article there is just about meeting decorum. I like to include that in bylaws because that just gives, if we ever would need to kick someone out of the meeting for being unruly and disruptive to the meeting, this just kind of gives the board a little bit of guidelines and some backup for doing that. Talks about how parcel map meetings are limited forums for the governmental purpose of making planning decisions related to tentative parcel maps. And it talks about we need to have decorum, civic responsibility, mutual respect, the intent of the committee to maintain the highest level of decorum, and the chair is authorized to take appropriate actions to maintain such decorum, to include declaring recesses, admonishing speakers, and other remedies. The viewpoint of any speaker will not be restricted, but reasonable restrictions may be imposed upon the time, place, and manner of speech. And then it talks about the type of remarks which may be, which are not consistent with this purpose, and that the chair can remove with or without warning any person who willfully makes the kind of remarks described above or engages in other disorderly conduct if such marks or conduct make the conduct of the meeting impractical. So that just is kind of language that I think kind of covers us in the event we were to have someone that interrupted a Zoom meeting with inappropriate pictures or language or other things. Does anyone have any comments about that? Nope. All right, the next records and minutes. This is just talking about, I think the only question I had for you on this, the records, all documents, of course, are maintained by the secretary and the Washoe County Planning. I'll add Planning and Building Division to that. The documents are open and accessible to committee members and to the public during working hours unless they're declared confidential by law, which they wouldn't be. Minutes here, the meeting minutes, this is open meeting law, will be made available within 30 working days after adjournment of the meeting. We ensure that a qualified recording secretary is available. And then my question for you is that copies of the written draft minutes, so number 3 here, of the past regular meetings shall be furnished to the committee members within 20 days as a normal procedure and at least 3 days in advance of the next regular meeting. That's a very typical procedure to have, that 20 days with other boards. I don't know if you all care to receive the minutes 20 days in advance or if you're just fine receiving them the 3 days in advance. So that's a question. If you're fine just having them 3 days in advance, then I'll take out that 20-day provision.
Yeah, we could, or just say that they'll be available at the posting of the agenda.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need them 20 days in advance. The with the packet is perfectly appropriate for me.
Sure.
I say perfectly acceptable, I should say.
I agree with that.
Anybody else?
Wayne says, all right. I see the thumb.
Okay.
Dale's shaking his head. I got it. Okay. And then Then the last issue there is amendment of these actual bylaws. The Washoe County Parcel Map Review Committee rules, policies, and procedures can be amended by a majority vote of a quorum at a regular meeting. They're effective upon signature of the chair. And then, of course, we have our catch-all. If we fail to follow one of our own rules, our actions are not invalidated so long as the action is in compliance with other laws. That's just a standard procedure to make sure that if we accidentally don't follow our own rules, no one can hold that against us. So,
Yeah, just in case we make a boo-boo.
yes. So that's it. Any other comments, questions, additions?
Well, I think that covers it pretty well.
Okay, so then Roger, it's and the board, it's up to you if you wanted to make a motion to approve with those changes. If you do decide to do that, I will make the changes, and then I will send this to Roger for his signature as the chair, and then it would be posted on the website.
Well, wonderful. Thank you very much. That's very comprehensive, and we are appreciative. So my question is to the remainder of the committee. Does anybody have any particular comment or any discussion on this?
I think we covered it as we went through it. I would make a motion that we accept these policies and procedures as corrected and move on.
Yeah, you know what? I tend to agree. But let's see if there's a second to that.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Let's have some discussion. I think what I'm hearing is with those few amendments that we talked about, I'm perfectly satisfied with the document. How about everybody else? What's your pleasure?
This is Wes. I have no problem with what Jen's provided as bylaws. I think they are succinct and make sense, at least for this committee.
Great.
I concur.
Wonderful. Mr. Way, what about you?
Ready to go. Sign them, Roger.
Well, listen, I believe I've heard a motion, and we did get a second, did we not?
I seconded.
Wonderful. Then without further discussion, I'm going to go ahead and call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And any opposed, please say aye. Hearing none, pass unanimously. Thank you all. We will have our own rules, policies, and procedures when next we meet.
Thank you all.
And this brings us to item number 9 on the agenda, reports and future agenda items. Anybody have anything they want to see on the next agenda? Hearing none, Ms. Gustafson, any other legal information or updates?
Nothing from me.
Great, which brings us to number 10, public comment. Madam Secretary, do we have anyone wishing to address the committee?
No public comment.
Okay, if I may, I would like to make public comment. It is my understanding that the governor made an announcement today that masks are no longer required indoors. And I am going to look into seeing whether this committee won't actually start meeting in person again sometime in the relatively near future. That is my public comment to the committee as a whole. And is there any other public comment? Very good. Then our next item is adjournment. Would anyone care to make that motion?
This is Wes. I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
And I believe we can all agree on that one. We are adjourned.
Hey, you guys take it easy.
Thank you all very much. You do the same, Larry.
Thank you all.